So I drink till the night becomes another day, and the day's just another little thing in our way. There's something about the way you beat me down that I'll never learn. You're the pint of no return, the pain in my chest, the stain on your dress, the glass in my eye. But this life is a joke, and death is the punch. I
Mothers of Mayhem! Beepity beep, 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 beep. Welcome to the Mothers of Mayhem. This is an extreme horror podcast. And today is a very special day, is it not, Christina?
Oh, fucking A it is.
Oh, yeah! This is our last interview of season 1. Boom, boom! This is it.
Thank fucking Christ. I love you guys, but holy monkey farce. This is a lot harder than we thought.
Oh my God. Like, we've been having the time of our lives. There is not a single moment of this that hasn't brought us some kind of like blissful joy. And we have had things happen to us over the last few months because of this experience that literally had Christina and I on video chat together where I was like legit crying tears of joy.
Should we tell them?
Like,
because it should be coming out pretty soon. When this.
Oh, I guess it will be out before we come back for season 2. You want to tell? You go ahead and tell them because this is.
Oh, guys. Chandler Morrison asked Marian and I to blurb for his newest book, #FagApp. And we did. I have never rewritten something so many times in my life. But yes, Marian told me to check my email, and I was at Walgreens, and I was like, oh, I'll check my email. And then I pulled over and I screamed so loudly that I think I scared the homeless people around me.
Yeah. I my children thought something was wrong.
Yeah.
I was like, no, nothing's wrong. I was like, I just can't believe that this person
like
actually
Chandler Morrison.
Like this person who writes all these books. And this is a similar experience I've had anytime any of you have asked us for a blurb.
Oh, without a doubt. I'm a dork every time.
But this one in particular, like, hit different because I don't know. I guess maybe it's just because he has because of his reputation, because he's been viral. Like, it just felt different. I was like, people are actually gonna, like, more people are gonna pick up this book and like read my words and decide whether or not they're gonna read this book. I was like, holy shit.
So yeah, a few exciting things here and there. And we've got to interview a ton of our, people that we not only consider to be friends, but people that we admire. I mean, come on, Sean Hawker, how can we not admire?
Oh my God, Sean Hawker, Matt Clark, all the way back at the second episode. Yeah. Still one of our highest listened to episodes. And what a freaking blast that was. Every single person we've had a chance to talk to has been super exciting for me. But then I think back on the folks we had time to spend, we had the opportunity to spend time with, like, sometimes I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And then season 2 is going to be even crazier. Like, nutso.
Yes,
okay.
People, we have our list already. And even Christina and I are sitting back going, why did they agree to do this?
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
we're not going to make any big announcements just yet because honestly, we are not coming back until September. And a lot can happen in 3 months. So we're not going to drop any spoilers just yet. Just know that we're very excited about what's coming up. Also, we do want you to be aware that next season is going to be a little shorter. We did 25 episodes this season. Next year, we're going to be hitting you with 15. We apologize, but 15 is probably about all we can handle considering that I am currently pregnant and will be having another baby in November. And that
And then-
also means we probably will be taking a bit of a hiatus so that I can recover from that. And then we'll be back in action. We're also going to be dropping to bi-weekly. And we know that y'all love the weekly podcasts, but we're going to make you wait for them a little bit just because we need a little bit of extra recuperation time.
We do.
Yeah, we absolutely love this. And we have had a blast, but we'll be honest, there have been times where we have been exhausted. And no matter how much we want to do it, we've been like, oh my God, I don't know if I have the mental capacity for this today. We make it happen anyways, but we don't want this to turn into something that like isn't fun when it's honestly been the most fun that we've had in a long time.
Right. And it's always something different. Like we expect one thing and it's like, you know, the LaRocca episode. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Oh, we
the
got
Morrison
to talk to Eric
episode. I really did.
Oh my God.
But that was a really great interview. Oh, blown away.
Oh,
And
Lord.
mommy's
Lucas,
a little bit on Xanax. So
that's fine.
Gotta be a little bit careful with the mommy.
I wish this mommy could be on Xanax, but that ain't in her.
I'll take one for you.
Her care plan right now.
I'll take an extra for you.
Lucas Milliron is our guest today, and he is already in our DMs chomping at the bit. He is just gonna have to wait. He is a treasure. He is my own precious Florida man. Did you know?
Oh God, here we go.
That Lucas was actually raised by a tribe of half gator, half skunk people?
No, he wasn't. Go.
Yes, he was. And you don't know anything.
I don't know anything. Where did you get this from? Snoops?
He told me.
Snoops.
I know things. And I know skunk ape gator hybrids that happen to know Lucas Milliron. So I know things.
So glad to pull this out.
Did you also know that Lucas he wrote the story of the eye?
No, he didn't.
Okay, expand.
It was written by George, and I'm gonna mess up the name. So you need to who would other people
are you gonna say Georges Bataille?
That's who I was gonna say, yes.
Yeah, okay. So funny about that, Lucas Milliron is the reincarnation of Georges Bataille, abandoned in the Florida Everglades, found and raised by gator skunk ape hybrid people.
Anybody ever tell you you're gonna piss the bed for lying?
No.
Okay. I didn't know. My grandma always told me that.
She
always told me I'd piss the bed for lying.
He also wrote the song "Eye of the Tiger."
No, he didn't. For fuck's sake.
I know things. I'm telling you. I know things. I
I wonder if he's old enough for those. That's what I'm curious about.
Well, here's the thing. Lucas Milliron is also a master of astral projection. And
see, now that makes, why don't you start with shit like that? If you would start with things like that. It didn't
really feel consequential until you forced it out of me.
Yeah, but I feel like knowing that tidbit of information, I'm more apt to believe you.
Noted. I'll remember that for season 2.
Take some notes like I do.
Let me write that down, Christina.
Right.
Hey, what have you been reading? Because honestly, I have been really great at starting books and not finishing them, not DNFing. Like I intend to finish all of them, but I currently have 4 of them in a stack next to my bed laughing.
Oh, I don't even want to talk about the stack that I have, but I have read 3 that I think deserve a little bit of a spotlight, if I may. This one is not only my number 2 for 2012, Jesus Christ, 2022.
We're going back
already.
To the future.
I know. Yeah. Already I know. It's number 2. Nothing will nothing will knock this one out. So and it's also in my top 10 that I have ever read in my life.
Speak its name. Speak its name into the universe.
And The Devil
I
Cries
was gonna say
by Christopher Triana.
I said, let it be Triana. Let it be Triana.
Has to be. I read the synopsis of this book and I was like, doesn't really seem up my alley. But everybody's like, oh, this has got the worst character I've ever read. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see about that. What I found the most interesting about this book is that he made me empathize at times with this horrible character who is just a fucking trash panda. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe he had a really bad life. Nope, he had the greatest childhood. Okay, well then maybe he was, S8 or something, something traumatic. Nope, just a classic piece of shit.
And total narcissistic sociopath.
But the way that he talks about military and some of the things that are very talked about behind the scenes and not brought to light is really what did it for me. I caught myself thinking, has he heard my husband and I's conversations? It's very true.
Triana has that history in his own life.
Mm-hmm.
And that book in particular, I picked it up and I read it because Christina had recommended it. I haven't finished it all the way, but I'm about 3/4 of the way through. And I sure hate Jackie. But you're right. At the same time,
don't you at times you're like
with him? And it reminds me a lot of how I felt about the main character in Along the Path of Torment. Like, these are people where you can see their flaws and there's something about them where you can empathize, but at the same time, you hate them so much.
Right.
Because of all of the evil that they embody and just the bad that they are.
And this guy is and
he is very hard to empathize with because you're right. There's no background there to really justify the behavior.
No, but he still writes him in a way that you're still like, well, I mean, no one can be this terrible of a person.
Yeah.
But I loved it so much. I picked up the audiobook. Audiobook is phenomenal. That's how I suggest taking it in if you have that chance. But I just bought a signed copy because I'm like, that's going to go right there on that shelf right there. That is that I will never get rid of books.
Triana is a master.
And this is my first by Triana.
The more I read of him, the more I feel like he's going to end up in that list. Right now we have the guys who came before, like the last generation, Brian Keene, Rath James White, Layman, Ketchum, Ed Lee, like the Pentaveret. I don't know if you guys have watched that show on Netflix yet, but like, Jeff Strand, who still is a very, very, I mean, they're all still relevant. Right. They're all still active. But when we look at them, we're like, oh, you were the path layers.
Right.
I feel like Triana is going to be part of this next bunch where when you think of names that come up, Triana, Volpe, Beauregard, Bercy, Pike, Miller, Harding, like all of these names that started popping up, CV Hunt. He's definitely, and the prolific nature.
Yeah.
He just cranks them out, just like Volpe and Beauregard. You can't keep up with them. Christ.
Right.
Well, and The Devil Cried is one that is in my list that I have yet to finish. And I hate to say it, but I'm like slowly but surely going through each of the story from Exits, the written and read guys.
I haven't started.
I'm just gonna tell I said to Aaron Beauregard online, and I think it was just in a comment or something, like, I will never forgive you for the salt man.
Right. You said the exact same thing to me. And so I'll probably put that for the next week or so.
Whoa. No thanks. It's terrible. well, it's not even like a phobia thing, but it's one of those where you're reading it and you can imagine what the sensory experience would be.
Mhm.
And it's just not pleasant. And
Yeah, no. It's like that one scene from Saw. Like, I've not really seen it, but it's the one where she's thrown into the pit of the needles.
Oh my God, that's the one I always think of.
You know what I
That's
mean?
like
So
the worst
I get
scene
it.
I always think of from the Saw movies. I'm pretty sure that was Saw 2. And
Yeah, I've not
I'll
seen
never
them, but I
forget
know
it.
of this scene.
I'll never
Yeah.
forget it.
So do you want me to switch gears? Because this next one is completely opposite of that.
Yeah.
A Seagull's Tale by Dave McCluskey.
Oh, I love him so
This was
much.
cute. This is not horror. This is not extreme. This isn't splatter. And it's so funny because you're coming from someone who writes Cravings and Zola to something like A Seagull's Tale. My kids fucking loved it. I did it as a read aloud for them. And I would catch myself after they went to sleep that I would keep reading it because I had to know what was going to happen. And so we went to the conservatory this weekend and there were seagulls. And Sarah goes, Lenny, which is one of the characters in the book. So pick this up. Like, you guys are not going to be, if you need something that's kind of like a palate cleanser, or you read out loud to your kids, or you even want to read some parents will read the book before their kids do to make sure that it's okay. Like, there's nothing in this book that's going to be offensive. And if there is, then I don't know.
We've had a digital copy for a while.
Yeah.
God bless Dave for sharing that with us. And it was really for my Catherine, since she's 9. And she recently has just started to develop a love of seagulls thanks to Finding Nemo. Like last night we were watching YouTube clips of that. Mine.
Tyrion.
And at first she was like, Mom, what are these funny geese? And I was like, oh, child, we have not been to the beach enough. We're poor motherfuckers. So I was like, no, baby, those are seagulls. And she was like, oh, I love them.
Well, they're funny. And they're so, like, the way that he makes them have human quality. Like, it's a really good book. So definitely check that one out if you want something a little bit different. And then I read, I don't know if you've read this one or not, Dog Food.
So I read that one all the way back during 30 Days of Godless last
By Peter
October by Peter Caffrey. And that is psychological horror on a whole different level.
It's Waiting for Godot meets The Trial by Kafka.
Yes.
I'm like, because I was going through it and I'm like,
psychological torture.
It's like, am I becoming an unreliable narrator? Like, what is happening here?
And it's
absolutely
short.
Phenomenal.
It's totally it's super
like
short.
68, 69.
Yeah, you can do it in like half an hour, 45 minutes. And yet the whole time you're reading it, you will be like, this is horrible. This is horrific. What a fucking nightmare. Like the absolute psychological torture. And there's no control. And you feel that loss of control. As the reader, you start to feel hopeless and helpless. And you see no good end to any of this. And yet you have no idea where it's going to land either. And that makes it worse.
And that's why I really compare it to The Trial, is because it's just, what the fuck is going on? Like, how can you do this to someone? How can you allow this to happen? And so, yeah, those are my three. Those are my three recommendations that I think, closing out the season, I think chef's kiss to all three.
I feel like I have to go back and think about the ones that I did read that I would super recommend. And of course, I think you got some of my strongest recommendations from the Eric LaRocca episode.
Oh yeah.
Simply because, but actually one of my strongest recommendations is going to be, if you love Bizarro, but you also have a passion for mental health and seeing the realities of mental health expressed through horror fiction, Lucas Milliron's Words Lost in a Dream is one of the most beautiful books I read this year. And it touches on all of those things. And especially if you have a thing for Bizarro, you're going to love it. You will love it. And then I can't not stop talking about womb. It was my
Neither can
number
anyone
one.
else.
It was my number one back in our first episode. And you know what? I'm sticking to it. Like, if you haven't read Womb, you need to read Womb because holy fuck.
Yeah.
And
I loaned
another
that
one-
out.
Another
I
one
loaned
that
that one out.
really killed me this year was So Sorry by Volpe
Mhm.
and Beauregard.
Yep.
That one, I haven't really talked a lot about it, but I think about it a lot.
Yeah.
And just knowing that it is something, it revolves around something that actually happened in the town next to where I was born,
Right.
and where I grew up. It just gave it a whole new spin for me. And that book's fucking brutal. It is brutal.
Yeah. And you think that the first story is gonna, okay, nothing else is gonna be.
Volpe takes it to the next level.
He's like, how can I fuck them with no lube? That's what I'm going to do here.
Beauregard takes you to the breaking point, and then Daniel Volpe is just like, oh, you thought that was bad.
He just starts breaking. So speaking of stuff like that, have you got anything that you've read so far this year that's going to be on your top 10 of the year?
We Can Never Leave This Place is number one.
Okay.
We Are Here to Hurt Each Other is number two.
Nice.
So we have LaRocca at number one, and we have Paula Ashe at number two. And I can't wait to get her on this show. My God, I can't wait for her to give me more freaking books.
Right.
Paula,
so do you think
Paula,
write
me a book, Paula.
Just for me, Paula.
Just for me, Paula.
Do you think that those will be knocked out?
No.
Yeah. See, that's how I feel about my number one, my number two, and my number three.
I guess it does remain to be seen. And I've kind of given up my tapes, but we'll see. We'll see.
Right.
Because right now, those are hard. They're going to be, y'all will be hard pressed to knock them out of those spots because
I'm looking at number one is Cuckoo by Mike Ennenbach. I'm actually going to get.
I need that one. I don't have that one.
I'm going to, it's not come out yet. It's not even been published. It's still in the waiting line to be read.
Well, shit, Christina.
I know. I'm special. I'm actually going to get it tattooed. One of the lines tattooed on me.
Oh.
So that will be a secret probably coming up in season 2 when I get tattooed. Number 2, and I don't have any tattoos. I'm a freaking dork. So
this will be your first even.
It'll be my very first tattoo.
That's huge. That's meaningful.
It really, I read that line and I cried. It really just, it got me. And so number 2 is Mr. Triana. I mean, not gonna happen. And number 3 actually is 3 of them in one. And that's Harding, transcendental mutilation, genital grinder, and Header 3.
Yeah.
Header 3. Because Header 3 is the first book in 10 months that made me say, I have to fucking quit for a while. And that to me deserves all the accolades because
it does. Standing ovation, Ryan Harding
and Edward Lee. It's him and Edward Lee.
And Ed Lee. Well,
and here's the thing.
What do you expect?
Here's what's so funny. I can listen to the most horrific things happen to children. I can listen to the most horrific things happen to people, to animals, anything. Don't care. If you write in your book about people spitting in other people's mouths, that's my trigger. Of all the things in the world, that's my trigger.
Oh,
I can't do it. I can't do it.
In my classes that I teach for healthcare providers, teaching them how to handle challenging behaviors in patients and violence in patients. We talk a lot about, okay, so what's your trigger? What's your trigger? What's your biggest trigger? What do you hate the most? Spitting is number one.
Really?
Don't spit at me. Don't spit on me. I swear to God, it immediately makes me want to break your face. Like that is the one thing that most people identify as their primary trigger because it drives those feelings. And, like you can use tampons at people. You can vomit at people. You can throw your shit at people, but you
can come on people. Like
you spit at people, they will wreck you. They will wreck you, especially healthcare providers.
And here's the thing. This scene that I'm talking about, it's not one page. It's not 2 pages. This goes on for like 5 fucking minutes.
I feel like Ed Lee, because we can go all the way back to Brain Cheese Buffet and focus on the Dracuga list. And I feel like he has found the way to weaponize that one trigger he knows that most humans have, and he pushes it to the max every single fucking time. He's like, I know y'all hate this one. Let's bring this baby out again.
Well, it's funny because Harding will say that it's Edward Lee, and Edward Lee will say that it's Ryan Harding who wrote that. So
I feel like it's the scene in Labyrinth where you come to the doors and they're like, one of us always tells the truth and one of us always lies. I tell the truth.
We can't.
What a lie.
Right. So to finish out, I have hashtag Thigap for number 4 of the year and Saint's Blood by Ryan C. Bradley for number 5. Those will not change. Those stay as is.
Folks,
but my last 5.
Write that down.
Who knows?
Go back, rewind, write this list down now so that when we come back in January of 2023 and hit you with our top 10 lists, you can tell us how unreliable we are.
No, because I actually, it's so funny. I keep a list. So
so she doesn't forget. I mean, Christina, you kind of have to because you read like 300 books every month.
I do.
How are you supposed to keep track?
Right. And that doesn't, here's the thing with top 10s, it's really difficult because last year I did it more because I was kind of new and I was like, this year I'm getting like, I can write 5-page papers on why I'm choosing each single one. And they're all completely different reasons, not thrillers, not, but yeah. So, I mean, Cuckoo has like, there's a bit of gore in it, but it's not, but yeah, if it doesn't get picked up, I'm going to be so pissed off.
Well, I'd really like an opportunity to read that.
Just get with Mike.
Talk to your friend Christina.
Mike.
She'll tell you Marian's a good lady. She's a good lady. Sometimes she might come across as bitey on the podcast, but y'all want to know something? That's just my funny persona.
And
deep down inside, I'm just a lady who wants everyone to be happy and just wants peace among the community and just wants to be liked and loved by all of the people that she likes and loves. Right. And sometimes I have to move beyond that for the ability to make funny jokes. And then I worry about them later.
I'm just the resident bitch bag. I am and Marian can kind of testify to this, that who you see on here is who I am in real life. Like,
which is why I love her.
Like, I speak for those who will not speak.
When I say spicy cupcake, I am a spicy cupcake on the show. And on my TikToks, because it's fun and it's funny and it allows me to be that small aspect of my personality that I don't get to be in my everyday life, because in my everyday life, I'm basically just a cupcake.
She really is.
A cupcake that wants everyone to be happy.
I want everyone to be miserable like me. So that's why we work. It's because you're
we
the
are
happy, I'm
sugar
the
and
sour.
spice. We're
Yeah,
sugar
I'm like the
and spice.
sour. I'm the
We
sour
are.
gummy bears.
And
You're
I'm
the
like,
sweet one.
no, Christina, no.
No,
Here's
no.
why.
And then I'm like, oh, I'm going through a tunnel. A bitch bag tunnel. You want to get Lucas in here?
Yeah, we've
All
spent
right.
too much time yapping. We're not even paying attention to how anybody else feels. They've already done fast forwarded, so whatever.
Yeah. They want Lucas.
They're already at Lucas, so let's get
Yeah.
him in here now. I'm gonna send him this link. Hold up.
All right.
Go, babies.
Bye.
Wait.
I mean, books are
Okay,
great
wait.
and stuff,
Okay.
but we've got some
Okay.
like I Spy stuff going on here.
All right, Lucas Milliron just told us that he has spy glasses on his face, like
We need to talk
actual
about-
spy glasses that can record people.
Well, yeah, you can record people, you can listen to videos. Quite often, I'm listening to your podcasts while checking in glasses.
Oh my God. Is this because you work in the world of glasses that you have access to this super agent
Well-
spy technology?
Right?
Anybody who has access to a Target optical should have access to their glasses. Not that I'm, advertising my company or anything, but
No. Just writing this down.
Mhm.
Target Optical, who I don't know her.
Right?
well, in some places we call it Target.
Yes.
You gotta keep it classy.
Yes,
very
that's what we do in
classy.
suburban Pennsylvania. Is it referred
Mhm.
In
to?
Alaska, that's
Target.
49th in education. Yeah, we say that.
Well, it's because
Lucas.
it's a newcomer.
Lucas,
Right?
I love you like a sister loves her brother, and I need you to
Mhm.
confirm for me to Christina that you are number one, the reincarnation of George Bataille, and that you wrote Eye of the Tiger through astral projection, and that you actually were abandoned in the Everglades of Florida and found by a tribe of skunk ape / gator hybrids and raised by them. Because she didn't believe any of this.
Well, I have nothing to do with Eye of the Tiger, but I cannot deny nor confirm the skunk ape disposition.
Oh, see,
Okay.
I'm my throne is not completely made of lies.
Right.
Nope.
So you're only gonna pee in the bed just a little bit today.
Oh, just a little
Mhm.
tinkle, just a little tinkle.
Just that pregnancy mom
Mhm.
tingle.
Just so you know, I consider Mr. Lucas Milliron to be a very good friend, and yet most of our communication and a majority of our personal friendship love language is built on sending each other ridiculous TikToks.
And
That's how we
TikTok.
I get
communicate
memes a
with
lot.
one another.
Mhm. We're very visual audio people.
We are.
Because every once in a while I'll be like, oh, Lucas sent me something. I'll be like, it's a dildo or a gator. It's a dildo or a gator.
Often dildos. I can't help the dildos.
And sometimes both.
They're
It's your co-host.
necessary.
I blame them.
They're
So many dildos.
necessary.
It
Absolutely.
really is. There's all over the
Well,
place.
Speaking
our
of
audience may not know you as well as we do. You want to share a little bit about who you I know this is actually your second time on the show this year. You were also featured on one of our most popular episodes this season, which happens to be our mental health panel. Wow, the
Mhm.
numbers on that one were incredible. So thank you for being a part of that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for inviting me to that one. That one was very cathartic. That one, I mean, it's weird, but it was nice being not the only person who's had these issues in the room. I'm sure-
Absolutely.
A lot of us feel like we are the only one with these issues in the room. So that was a very nice space to be in. And I thank you guys for bringing that together because
Oh,
we were just, guests to the party.
it was like a great group therapy session, actually.
Yes,
Mhm.
guess who wasn't invited?
Drew Stevick.
This gal. And I'm all kinds of crazy. No, I'm just kidding. I know. You were like, look, Christina, you were a little too crazy for our panels. So we just had to,
It's
It's
okay.
a joke.
Someone
it's a
had
joke.
to.
It's her thing. It's her
someone-
thing. We have two separate things.
Hey, someone had to keep the moose in check.
That's right. And there's only one woman to do it. That is
Mhm.
Mrs. Christina Pfeiffer. And
well,
her
the
giant collection of dildo weapons.
right
Moose tipping.
when
All
they
right,
when
so-
they go for
Two-stepping. Lucas, remind the people
All right.
about yourself. Tell them a little
So-
about who you are.
So I am Lucas Milliron. I am the author of, well, most known for Cocksucker. Basically, I describe that book as Bath Salts Bigfoot. I am a native-born Floridian, oldest of three. I sell eyeglasses, as you guys may or may not know by now. Licensed optician in the state of Florida. I do educational for opticianry. Today, I'm a little fancy dressed because I just got out of Broward College doing a frame adjustment class, teaching new opticians the proper way to adjust frames, adjust prescriptions in the glasses, and all that stuff. So
He's a
quite a
professional
lot.
man. And he writes really fucked up books.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he leans into that Florida man aesthetic in a way
Oh, buddy.
you cannot get anywhere else. Holy shit.
Like I say, Bath Salts Bigfoot. Bath Salts
That's-
Bigfoot.
Oh my
Let's hope it-
God. One of my most popular TikTok reviews that probably pushed me closest to going viral was my review for Cocksucker. And
It's still my favorite.
basically it
Mhm.
was me just being like, what the fuck? What the fuck? If you read this, it's not my fault. I have
Nope.
nothing to
Right.
do. And yet I love it so much. And I think I was even wearing this sweater in that video.
Yeah,
Well, we
That's
can
how
actually
much I
start-
will never forget this review that I made for Cocksucker.
Mhm.
Well, we can actually start the questioning because that's one of my questions
Oh, do
has
it.
to pertain to
Okay.
Cocksucker.
Ask away.
So it doesn't even have a question, so I'm just going to come up with one, but I know what I'm doing.
Do your
Maybe.
thing. I'm hourly.
Cocksucker, right? Cocksucker has the best opening line of any book. I'm
Well, thank
sorry.
you.
Abigail could taste the blood on her brother's foreskin. Now,
Stop it.
Mhm.
Shut up.
right? And
Yep.
if it would be okay, may I continue? Because it gets better.
I'm Deb. Go right ahead.
All
Go
right.
right ahead.
So it continues. Clive, she hollered. What the fuck? You said you showered yesterday, Clive replied. You forgot under your foreskin again. Why does your dick taste like blood? Mom is on the rack. Motherfucker. Frog face. I'm telling Pa. You know
Knock that
damn well
off.
he don't like snitches.
Mhm.
Fine, but you better nut quick this time. We got chores.
I mean, you have to get that out of the way.
Number
for-
one, where did the story come from, Lucas? And number two,
Okay.
why is it so great?
I mean, hey, the woman makes the dress, not the dress doesn't make the woman.
Right.
As far as the inspiration for Cocksucker, I wanted to write a story about a boy who lost his dog. I've always wanted to do a boy lost his dog story, just because
Okay.
it's fun, simple, everybody gets it. It's interconnectable on everything. But then I'm like, okay, I want this to be a little interesting. What if the dog was a chupacabra? All right, there you go. That's an interesting twist. But what if that boy, I mean, who would find a chupacabra to be a wonderful, loving puppy? Well, only an inbred redneck. Nobody else. And then, okay, so now you have your inbred redneck. Now you have your opener. Now you have your chicken killing chupacabra. What's your antagonist going to be? Because you've got chupacabras, rednecks. And I'm like, all right,
just wants to do it what he
this is Florida.
wants.
So how about a skunk ape? And not just any skunk ape. What if he was bi-curious?
Let's make him
And that's the name,
relatable.
Curious O'Bob. Curious O'Bob. Because he's bi-curious. And then
He
the
wants
rest
to
is
know.
history. Mhm.
I also love the little Easter egg that exists within this book, considering the fact that the restaurant that is featured is a real place. And I have
Correct.
seen pictures.
Yep. So yes, there are. So all my books are based in one way or another off of something real. There's always kernels of truth to every lie. And with this book, I mean, I changed the name of the restaurant because as much as I love the restaurant in today's day and age and sensibilities, some people would be offended by that. But it's a real restaurant. It's off of the Tamiami Trail going through Alligator Alley. It's been there since, I want to say, the 30s or the 40s. It's an old restaurant, an old Florida cracker house. And they have the best frog legs in South Florida, period.
I
don't know if
freaking
any of
love
you eat
frog
frog legs.
legs. Oh my
They're
god, they're so
delicious
good.
there.
They're so good.
They're locally sourced, so everything for that. But what struck me as quite unique is it's a family restaurant. So when I went to relieve myself, I go to the men's room and, that's a lot of tits. Literally plastered on every single wall, every inch are these old like Jugs magazine centerfolds, Playboy centerfolds, Hustler centerfolds, Nova Jays.
Up,
Right,
yeah,
right.
that's
You
where
get
we draw the
total
line.
classy. Well, it's
Yeah.
a classy joint, so it's tatas up. And they are given the
I respect
utmost
that.
respect because all of these cheesy magazines are in these really nice little picture frames. So yeah, classy place.
The way you do it, you got to hit it with that eleganza.
Well,
Exactly.
let's talk about upcycling. Thank you,
Mhm.
restaurant,
Yeah.
for keeping
Mhm.
that out of our landfills.
That
Correct.
is a preservation of history. That's what that
Mhm.
is. 100%.
They're
Wowza.
classics.
Thank
So-
I mean,
you
hey,
for that.
if those centerfolds were classic cars, they'd be blue license plates by now.
Hell yeah,
Boom.
man. When you got ready to release Cocksucker, was there
Mhm.
any level of response that you were expecting? Like, was there anything that you were kind of like, wait for it, wait
Right.
for
To this day.
it?
To this day, I am still waiting for Amazon to cancel it just because of the title and the context.
It.
Yeah.
But that's because I don't necessarily spin it as a straight horror story. I spin it as horror comedy.
Yeah.
It's slapstick. It's straight slapstick. And I think that's kept me safe. It's a combination of that and the keywords that I use when people search it. I don't use anything offensive because that's your immediate red flag to Amazon, and then they'll catch it and you'll never see it again. So I kept all the keywords good, but to this day, I'm always worried, like, are they gonna cancel me? But so far, it's been good. I mean, my
Even
publisher,
flying under the
Grindhouse
radar.
Press,
Right.
Grindhouse did that amazing cover. I
Mhm.
mean, I was really scared when I submitted it and like, all right, have fun with the cover. Because it's a tough book and the book speaks for itself. And I was worried that a cover from anywhere might be a little too much. But C.D. Hunt, she did a fantastic job in that
Oh
cover
man, she's
because
amazing.
it's eye-catching. It's bright, it's different. It's not the normal dark, bleak skulls and red and black and all that stuff. Not
Mhm.
there's anything wrong with it because one of my books is a black cover with red and skulls.
Yeah.
But it stands out amongst almost any book you see just because of how bright and crazy color it is. And it tells you right off the bat, you're in for something fucked up.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think that might actually be its saving grace is the fact that it's a big rooster.
Mhm.
Cock. So
Mhm.
it automatically takes the brain. Oh, when he says cocksucker, he's not talking about dicks. They
Yeah.
must be talking about the actual like man chickens.
Right.
Oh, it's a man's chicken.
And then when you read
Right.
the synopsis, like it doesn't really prepare you for what's
No.
about to happen.
So, well, I don't necessarily believe in trigger warnings per se, with the caveat of I don't think you should have trigger warnings. However, you should front load what your reader is going to expect. So with the title, with the first page, you know immediately if this book is for you or not.
Yep.
And if it's not, put it down. Just put it down. It's okay. I don't
Yes.
need your $2. I don't.
Yeah.
It's not that important. I would prefer you do not hurt yourself.
Yeah.
with
Protect
this-
your psyche.
with this gentle little book. So, I mean, that's why that book is shaped the way it is. A lot of my stuff is very intentional like that.
Mhm.
I mean, Skin Deep was the same way, where I wanted you to know from the first sentence, you ain't in Kansas.
Yes.
Welcome to Florida.
Yeah.
People come for the mouse and they stay for the meth.
Right? There you go.
Oh, hooray for Florida.
Florida.
I always like
Florida.
when something pops up and it's like, some horrific thing happens and it's like Florida man. And I'm like,
Yep.
checks out.
Yeah, my backyard. We call that
Right?
Tuesday.
Like that, right?
Wow, I think Christina actually has a really great question about skin deep now that you bring it up.
I do. So you said you work in optometry. So I can
Yes.
feel safe assuming that your inspiration for Skin Deep and Call Me Hoop series was based on some truth. You have felt my wrath on how much I hate eyes and eye stuff. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, you and Drew. Drew to this day, he has not forgiven me for the eye stuff.
Don't look at my eyes. Don't touch my eyes. Because every
just
time I
when you
go in,
go,
I'm not even looking at you, Lucas. I can see how the no. I'm going through a
oh,
tunnel.
it drives me nuts.
Oh my God.
But
And
I mean, but yes. So my day job did influence the dressing, shall we call it, for that story.
So it's about blood and eyes and all kinds of stuff. How did that collaboration start? And was it an easy story to write with Hoop?
So it's a multifaceted story. Well, because I've told the story a couple times. So Skin Deep was actually a reaction to a lot of things I was dealing with at the time. My biological father had passed away. We were coming out of COVID. COVID was not kind to my family and everybody, as everybody suffered through it. I had a particularly difficult time with a whole bunch of house issues, to put it mildly. And again, this is the mild stuff. During lockdown, I had to do a complete bathroom renovation because our tub completely sprung a leak. The person who had installed the bathtub before we bought the house thought they had done such a great job that they didn't need to connect the plumbing to the drain. So anytime we took a shower, all that water didn't necessarily go straight to the drain. It went under the tub. So my wife goes to give the dog a bath. Dog goes into the tub. Water comes shooting out from the floor of the tub. So we dealt with that while I was unemployed before getting my checks for being unemployed.
Oh,
Wow.
that's
A plumber during a pandemic when people aren't allowed to be 6 feet in front of you, let alone come into your house.
in your house.
Wow.
So that was the beginning of the fun. And it got a little crazier. Like we had septic issues. I had literal feces in my kitchen sink because our septic backed up from the construction.
Oh my God.
It was, it was bad. So
brother.
there was a bunch of other stuff, and a lot of my close friends know, but dealing with all of that, and then my biological father had passed away. Him and I had a very estranged relationship. Towards me, he was very physically, mentally abusive. There was a lot of trauma that I was undergoing. And literally a week after I'd been trying to process this, Drew messaged me about, joining the Call Me Hoop series. And I had recently asked him about joining Godless to put Cocksucker up. And he was like, dude, I'm already a fan. You've already got a page. I was just waiting for you to shoot me the message. So we can
Sounds like Stepic.
and, and then he gives me the opportunity to do, Skin Deep. And I hadn't written for basically the entire time I was processing my dad's passing.
Oh.
And that's weird for me because since I started writing, I usually don't go more than 1 or 2 days without writing, or 1 or 2 days without touching a story. Like even if I'm not writing, I'm either working on an outline or I'm fixing edits. I'm always touching my fiction. So I'd gone a really long time without working on anything. And I was starting to freak out because I'm like, wait, what if I don't have this anymore? What if I've lost my momentum? What if I can't write? What if I forgot how because of all the stuff that's still in me?
Yeah.
And then here comes this opportunity. The first, I don't even want to call it a draft. The first shot that I sent to Drew, he's like, I don't know what you're sending me, but let's take a step back. Here's a movie you need to watch. It's called Angel Heart, and this is kind of the premise that we're going for. So I watched the movie. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. And if you haven't seen Angel Heart, you really need to unfuck that because it's a really good movie.
Such a great film.
And then everything just sort of clicked. So I was like, wait, if this is basically what we're doing, I need to write what I am most afraid of. And what I am most afraid of is turning into my father. So I went literal. I went very visceral. I didn't hold anything back. I may have gotten a little too personal even, but it was a story that I needed to write. Incorporating Hoop was just, I mean, you could have switched Hoop out for almost any character.
Yeah.
But I made sure that when Hoop was, on screen, so to speak, when he was on the page, it was Hoop. You didn't have any question who the hell it was. You knew that this was Hoop talking. But otherwise, it was more about me dealing with that situation. And I am forever grateful for Drew Stepek for getting me back on the horse. Because had he not, I might have given up at that point. Or it might have been a lot longer. And the work that I would have put out may not have been the same.
Yeah.
I mean, because it was literally what I needed at that moment just to get moving forward again.
Right.
Well, that's a hell of a turning point.
Yeah.
A little bit. Well, and before that, I'd looked at Cocksucker as a one-off because most of my writing isn't that extreme, not until literally post Skin Deep. After that, you'll notice a lot of my stuff got a little wackier and crazier. The only thing that isn't, which time frame wise came out, I wrote before, was Lost Words in a Dream.
Oh, I want to talk about that one, buddy.
Well, that one I actually was writing tangentially at the same time as Cocksucker.
What a contrast. So for those of you who aren't familiar, I actually mentioned this book in our intro, and it was one of your books that I recommended everybody read because this is an amazing, almost bizarro-esque journey through grief and loss and survivor guilt. And
this was straight up cosmic horror.
Come to terms with this world I can't control, and yet I'm constantly faced with these visceral, visual, physical memories of the people that I have lost. And it is a gorgeous, horrible, horrific journey through. For me, it was a journey through grief and coming to terms with that and being the one who's left behind to pick up all the pieces, and knowing that you were in that space at the same time that you were talking about curious old Bob raping some ornery teenagers in the middle of the swamp. That's kind of a mind fuck for me, Mill Iron. What the hell?
So at any given time, I'm writing at least 4 to 5 books at once.
Holy shit.
This year is the first time I'm trying to organize that a little better and limit myself.
I've been watching
on. This is everything I'm working on right now.
I was going to say that is.
I haven't updated it. I only update this once a month, so I'm getting due to update it again. But literally, this is everything I'm working on.
That is a very Christina whiteboard right there.
Welcome to the ranks.
But that's not everything I'm writing.
Right.
That's only what I'm writing now.
Right.
Because in my head, there's no way I'm ever going to write all the books that's in there, ever. But at least with this process that I'm working on now, keeping myself organized, I know what my output's supposed to look like.
Right.
Because if anything I learned under lockdown is organize your shit.
Okay, so if you're writing multiple things all at once, do you find yourself bouncing back and forth just based on your vibe of the day? And will you just like all of a sudden be like on a certain day and just go to one that you haven't even really like addressed yet and be like, blah, 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 I'll come back to you 4 months from now?
Right.
Sort of. I mean, the way that works is it's right now I'm more task focused. So like I need to finish Cocksucker before, or because right now I'm working on the sequel to Cocksucker. So I need to finish that by August. So it'll be ready, edited by September.
Oh, you hear
for
that,
Grindhouse.
Christina? It'll be ready for season 2 of Mothers of Mayhem.
Not necessarily. Remember, just because a book is
Damn it.
done doesn't mean it's released.
Yeah.
Because I still have to.
We can
Mhm.
always beta for you.
Like, girls, you got my number.
Right.
But no, absolutely. So I need to finish that one by September, and then I need to immediately jump on Becoming 3 for D&T Publishing, since I got my entire Becoming series coming out through them.
Look at
So
they have book one.
exciting.
Book 2 should be coming out. The Dead Heart should be coming out, but I need to finish the Becoming series just because that's the next major thing.
Mhm.
Then I have to finish my, I don't want to call it a Western because I don't do Westerns. This is my Florida kind of a, all right, I'll call it a splatter Western, but it's a period piece, and its name for the moment is Blood on Bare Feet. It's basically, what if The Yearling was a horror story?
Ooh.
And I'm making it really, really dark. So I'm taking an already dark, sad story, and I'm just like, let's just a little darker. So that one's going to be interesting.
I'm ready.
But no, I mean, I'll go by mood. I mean, prior to me trying to stay organized, it was mood. It was whatever inspiration was jumping up front. And sometimes that's good. But the problem with that is then you get a lot of stuff pushed on the back burner. And that's kind of what happened to Becoming 3. I mean, the books didn't move very well when I first released them. And then as people discovered, my other fiction, and not everybody can handle something as extreme as Skin Deep or Cocksucker. So then I would push them things like the Becoming series, and people were loving it. So that's now the thing that I'm starting to focus on after this. Yes, it's a combination of mood, but I need to shift it. Not only what am I feeling in the mood for, but what do I need to complete?
Right.
Because so many books.
I love that you are building on these books that have been so popular for you and turning them into series.
Certain ones. It was never my intention. Cocksucker, I didn't want that to be a sequel. I didn't want a sequel for Cocksucker. I really didn't. I said this was a one and done. The way I ended it was perfect. It's great. And then I'm like, God, there's a lot of fucking iguanas outside. Why are there so many fucking iguanas?
Oh, you know how I feel about the iguanas, Lucas.
So, yes, I do. So the idea gestated, and then I'm like, I wonder if there was an apex predator that used to eat all these iguanas. Bob.
Oh my God, Bob.
So because Bob's been neutered, he's no longer as curious, and he's no longer feasting on these iguanas, keeping the population down. Now the iguanas have exploded because of Clive and Cooter.
Damn
So
it,
now
Clive and
we must
Cooter.
go. So as Clive and Cooter ride again for the hunt of neutered Bob.
Now they're all freezing when it drops to 50 degrees, and they're falling on people and killing them.
Yeah, well, we know who the cause is now, don't we?
Blame Clive.
Damn it, Clive. Fuck you, Cooter.
Bastards.
Oh, and I can't wait for you guys to meet
killed
them.
by iguanasicles.
Oh, I can't wait for you guys to meet my new character for Cocksucker, Grandpa Balls.
Oh, spectacular. And Marian is choking. Who do we
You
alert?
don't say things like that just as I'm taking a drink, Lucas. Marian's putting a cup to her mouth. Let me say Grandpa Balls out loud.
Right?
I mean, if you're gonna say it,
knowing.
you gotta say it loud and proud.
Right?
Oh my God.
So yeah. So that's a glimpse into the sausage being made.
Actually, sausage was just about where I was going to take this conversation. Now, I don't do a lot of erotica. I
Mhm.
don't. I mean, I enjoy it when I'm in the mood, but I don't focus on it a
Mhm.
lot. Now, Christina will do more erotica than I do as
Mhm.
far as reading. And I know she has some questions about damnation.
Okay.
I was extremely lucky and got to beta
Mhm.
and edit Damnation because
Which I'd
it is
much love you for it.
always, my friends. There's nothing
Mhm.
better than porn, a red pen. It's just
Yep.
it gives me happiness.
Mhm.
Pure happiness.
I love redlining porn.
I love it. It brings me so much joy. But it shows
Yep.
such a different side of you. I mean,
Mhm.
there's a difference between, a thing coming after you and,
Yeah. I mean, you have sex from
There's-
meth gator.
yeah, there's difference.
There's this.
There's a difference. My question is, how did this story come about? And were you a
Mhm.
little bit worried about how it was received? And I want to spoiler for
Mhm.
children that this is extra fucking spicy and it is slip and slide approved. So now you can answer.
Yep.
It's hot.
So originally, I wrote this years ago for an anthology for Death's Head Press called Rope Burns. They were doing a kinky erotica, a kinky horror anthology. So I wrote them the story and its initial draft, which I think was less than 6,000 words. So it was just a regular short story. It was not near as sexy because that was more for the horror and the kink than it was the eroticism, because that's what that book was going for. And after a lot of issues Death's Head Press had, they were able to finally release it. Amazon redline, or they basically canceled the book 4 times. It was originally called Rope Burns. They had to change the book title to Obligatus. I can't remember the last word, voluptus, something like that. And they just had so many issues. They had to redo the cover. They had to redo the title. They had to completely resubmit it. And they almost lost their books being sold on Amazon because of it, because it was too aggressive.
I'm so confused about what's the problem with Rope Burns?
Well, Rope Burns as the anthology was a whole bunch of kinky fiction.
Right,
And there was
like
some,
just that title alone. I'm like, why that doesn't
there
feel
wasn't the
so like
title.
provocative to me.
Oh, it wasn't the title, it was the stories in it. Because
Oh,
Damnation wasn't
all
the most
right.
fucked up. Yeah, no, it was content. Because Damnation wasn't the most fucked up thing in there. It was quite fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, the throat to the knife scene was in there.
Mhm.
But
Mm.
there was a bunch of other stuff from all the other books that, the other stories in there that were just as crazy. And Amazon didn't want it. This was pre-Godless, so it had nowhere to go. And the book basically sat for a couple years just as a paperback exclusive.
Wow.
And fast forward a little while, I kind of wanted to, I've been doing so much gross sex and humorous sex. I'm like, well, can I do something that's a little lighter? Sure, I already have a story. I kind of liked how it went, but I wished it was a little bit more into the eroticism. So I sizzled it up. I added a little bit more backstory to the characters, which it's sorely needed. And now you have Damnation, horror beyond flesh.
Yeah.
It's so freaking good though. Like
Thank you.
it just, and it's so different because I mean, like we said, cocksucker to this. It's just,
Mhm. It is.
and it's one of my favorites by you. I
Thank
think
you.
that because it is such a difference, and you didn't keep yourself in that box, that you just kind of went. I don't want to say balls to the wall because I just feel like this is the wrong interview
Yes.
for that. So I just feel like
Wow.
I mean, if they're going to go to the wall, you're using the stapler.
right?
There's
I just feel
staplers
like
involved.
there could be way too many things that happen with that. So,
Mhm.
but I feel like you really went outside of maybe
It
your
was
comfort
definitely,
zone.
oh, it was a little bit. I mean, I'd had other beta readers go through the sexy bits. I had one girl who does almost exclusively dark erotica. And without saying it verbatim, the first draft, every single beta reader, shout out Miko, every single beta reader that I had read it, without saying it, was basically telling me you write sex like a man. And I'm like, oh, so how do I unfuck that? And that was the challenge. Well,
Right.
he needs to have more, you can't just get to the point. You have to have that escalation, that build, that rise, that fall, those movements. And I didn't meet my cock quota. The first draft did not have enough cock.
The ladies wanted more dick.
They do, but no, it's not even
Classic.
dick. It's the word cock.
Really?
That's a thing. Apparently,
Wow.
in
You can
certain-
probably tell by Christina and I's expressions that we are not in that category of women. I'm so
but
surprised.
no, it is. There is a thing. There are certain words you have to use, certain phrases you have to use.
Wow, I
and
did
everybody's a
not know
little-
that.
I mean, it's not like a literal quota, but you do
Right.
need to use it. It needs to be in there. Just like if it's romance, it needs to have a happy ending. If it's erotica, it can be anything. It just needs to be sexy.
That is
And
so
this one-
funny.
Well, this one, it really leans into the horror because I am a massive Clive Barker fan.
Oh, me
Mhm.
too.
And my biggest issue with people in the movie Hellraiser is they forget Hellraiser is an erotica.
Yeah.
It was kink.
Yeah.
They're not demons. They're people who are bored with sex, with the mundane sex of what the human flesh can tolerate.
It was sadism to the
Hellraiser-
max.
It's an exploration of what happens if death is no longer, is no longer a stopping point. If you
Right.
can surpass death, how far will you take it?
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of used in this.
Mhm.
You can take the artifact and turn into anything you want, and it's the same thing. But the whole moral of the story is if you give someone the opportunity where death is no longer the worst thing that can happen, how far will that individual take it?
Right.
Damnation is all about consent.
Mhm.
What happens and why consent is so fucking important,
Yeah.
especially in kink. Especially in kink.
Oh, yeah. Kink is built all around consent. Without
Mhm.
consent, it doesn't happen. And those boundaries and those lines are drawn before you ever even step in
Mhm.
to that
Well,
situation.
And people outside of the BDSM community don't realize this, but the submissive is the one in control.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
And it's something that a lot of people don't understand is that the submissive is always the one in control because when they say no,
Right.
anything beyond that is now rape.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's that deadly serious. Because if you're doing something like breath play, something as benign as breath play, and your sub is tapping out and you keep going, well, the next step is a coma.
Yeah.
And then where do you go from that? I mean,
Yeah.
it only gets worse from there. So it's a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
Right.
Really.
I am fascinated by, and not just fascinated, but I appreciate and love the psychology of kink, and
Mhm.
especially the psychology of BDSM, because so many people who will engage in the BDSM community and lifestyle do it as a form of trauma processing.
Mhm.
And
Some people,
catharsis,
yeah, absolutely.
because you're absolutely right. There,
Mhm.
the submissive is in control, and sometimes the dominant one also needs that opportunity to express that aspect of who they are, and they
Correct.
use this safe zone to engage in this therapeutic, basically sexual therapy on a mutual level. And it is fascinating and amazing. And what really pisses me off is people who go into it thinking they can use it as a weapon and use it for their own nefarious needs. And
absolutely.
they get weeded out real fast.
If you
Because
have a
that
good
community will have none of it if they
As long as-
are on the straight and narrow.
I was in the BDSM community for a while down in Fort Lauderdale. Basically when I was in high school, I was introduced to the Rocky Horror Picture Show. My mom essentially made me go. It was a friend's birthday, and I had told them, well, they're going to Rocky Horror Picture Show after that. And my mom's like, oh, hey, you going? And I'm like, I'm thinking about it. She's like, you want to ride home, right? You're going, right? Okay, Mom. So my mom's fault. I became a Rockyite.
Yay! Good job, Mom.
So from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, it's not a far stretch to the BDSM and kink community, because that was where I learned more about, transsexuals, people who were, drag queens. One of my best friends growing up at that time, drag queen Diva Divine. I mean, she was more than just an actress in her nightlife. She was an actress at her day job, because when Diva was Gay Ray for her day job at a Catholic summer camp for boys in Texas.
I love it.
Oh, that was where her real acting skills excelled.
Oh, fantastic.
And you ended it with
Diva.
Texas on top of all of that. And I'm just like,
That's
okay,
all.
yeah, okay.
Oh, they're bigger in Texas. But seriously, I mean, going from that to the BDSM community, I mean, you see all the different types of walks of life. And Florida's got one of the biggest underground scenes, because we have lots of professionals who don't want people to know that they're in that scene.
Right.
I mean, there was one gentleman who was an attorney. We all knew he was an attorney because we knew his face, because his face was plastered on billboards.
Right.
But he would go in with a mask, one of those little Zorro masks, thinking that was enough, wearing no clothes, just whitey tighties.
Okay.
And the letters CBT written in magic marker on his bare naked chest.
Okay.
With a piece of rope coming out his briefs. So for those who don't know, CBT stands for cock and ball torture.
Okay, because I was thinking CBT's like, I don't know, military have to do those.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think we
cup check.
Totally off here.
CBT.
Well, I'm sure if you
CBT
ask the
actually
military people, it's not far off.
it's also cognitive behavioral therapy. So
I mean, it's not far off if you think
it's
about it.
not that far off.
It all
Mhm.
does kind of, in a minute.
It all goes back to the phallus.
It really does.
That's
mean,
where
but no,
Freud would
yeah.
take us.
Right.
But you see a lot of that stuff. I mean, I introduced a bunch of my friends to the BDSM community. One friend, we were going to use the restroom, and back in the day, the restrooms were non-binary when you went to a fetish factory party.
Mhm.
And you're talking early 2000s, before non-binary was a thing. So you would have the women's room where it's the lady in the skirt, and the WO and woman was ripped off. So it's men, lady with the skirt. I loved
That's
it.
great.
So me and my friend are going to use the restroom, and there's Mr. Attorney, laying on the ground with a very busty dominatrix and her heels on his scrotum, beating him in the face with a riding crop. And my friend's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, shut up, he's smiling, leave.
Yeah. He's having a good time. Let the man live.
This will be a 5-star Yelp review. Just get out.
You see these things, you get acclimated to these things, and you realize they're two consenting adults doing whatever you like.
Yeah.
I mean, I very rarely yuck someone's yum. The only time I yuck yum is when it's littles. Littles bother me because that's a little on the creepy side.
Yeah. No, that's a zone that
Grown people pretending to be babies and being intimate, that I don't do that, no. But anything else, I mean, I'll even accept furries. Furries are cool. They're their own people, but you don't yuck someone's yum.
Right.
Just let people live.
as long as it's not, as long as it doesn't go into
Consenting
that
adults?
realm of consenting adults.
Mhm.
Consenting adults. That's where
Yep.
we cap it, friends.
Sheep are not
If it ain't-
adults.
If it ain't involving adults, we don't approve of you.
Nope.
Well, hey, since we have talked about Mr. True Stepic quite a bit,
Mhm.
let's take a quick break and throw a coin to our Stepic and give a little love to Godless. And then we're going to come right back, and then we're going to hit you with the rapid fire for Lucas.
Pew, pew, pew,
Let's
pew.
do it.
Hey kids, Looking for a way to affordably access the best and wildest independent extreme horror currently in existence? Godless Horrors is the place to be. Go to www.godless.com to gain access to thousands of extreme horror and splatterpunk books from the genre's best and brightest independent authors. Godless Horrors offers every title in their catalog in a variety of formats to ensure compatibility with your favorite digital reading device. Strapped for cash? No worries. Godless has a fantastic collection of free titles ready for instant download, with other titles in their collection rarely exceeding $3 to $4. Again, go to www.godless.com or download the app and tell them what the fuck you're looking for. Come join the Godless tribe today. Forever delightfully deviant. Forever godless.
All right. All right. Oh shit, Lucas, it's time. It is time for the rapid fire 4.
4 questions, 4 answers, 0 time to think ahead. We'll need answers immediately.
Are you ready? Are you
I've
ready?
not thought about this ever prior to any of these conversations. No.
Never once.
Because we definitely, absolutely do not ask the same rapid fire 4 questions to
no.
every single person
Absolutely
who comes
not.
on this show.
No,
And you
I'm
have
special.
to us
Today's
every
my
time.
day. Fuck you guys.
Actually, you'll be the last one to get these rapid fire 4 because season 2, we're going to have all new questions.
Yay. I'm special.
You are special.
Woo!
All right. Number 1. Is it mine?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's mine.
Yeah.
Which of the characters do you identify with the most and why?
So, I mean, the answer is yes.
Oh, okay.
Knock it off.
Next one. Next one.
Well, for different characters for different reasons. I mean, at times, aside from the sister fucking, I feel about as useful as Clive most days. I feel about that awkward. My humor is more like Rudy and Tim E. Less, Rudy Ellen. That's basically where I would start with. I would say I'm that bumbling retard person craziness trying to go and do all the Florida man stuff. But deep down inside, I have that weird narcissistic comedy that I just think everything is funny. Everything deserves to be laughed at.
Yeah.
I mean, because no matter how tragic something gets, if you don't laugh at it, you're crying.
Yeah,
I'd rather
Oh yeah. Oh gosh,
cry
Christina and
laugh
I
than
can't
anything.
relate with that at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. 0%
Why my favorite horror
relatable
movies have-
content.
Hey, it's why my favorite horror movies all have zippers.
I can't watch horror movies, so
Isn't that
But you
funny?
can if they have zippers.
Christina can't
I
watch
don't.
horror movies. She reads some of the most horrific, disgusting, depraved shit ever put on paper.
Have you
And yet you're like, I'm like, Christina, watch this movie with me. And she's like, no.
have
Like,
you ever
what
seen
is
Tucker
wrong
Dale
with
versus
you?
Ebert?
yes, it's one of my favorites.
Oh, Tucker
There
and
you go.
Dale.
Okay, that's
To
a
me,
good-
that's more of like a comedic.
Mhm.
I can't like
I'm-
my husband is all
Mhm.
about horror. He has like
Yeah.
and he's
Well, I
like,
mean-
hey, do you want to watch? And I would like I'm like, I would rather get kicked in the vagina with a golf shoe. I would probably go through less pain and agony than that.
Have you guys watched Dead and Breakfast?
Not yet.
Oh, that's another really great horror comedy.
Well, like,
And,
I'm the kind of
The Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon.
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
Oh, you guys need to see that one too. That was so good.
Well, it's like I prefer the stuff over the blob. Like that's the kind of horror that I'll usually gravitate towards if I'm watching scary movies. Like I said, the more cheese, the better.
I will say anything Lovecraftian, I'm about.
Okay.
Ah.
Evil.
So the void,
What is that? The evil
Evil
darkness. Army of Darkness.
Army of Darkness.
Evil Dead. Yeah,
Evil
Evil
Dead
Dead.
franchise.
Mhm.
Yeah, do it. I looked at Michael and I said, this has no fucking plot, man. And he goes,
No.
it's not supposed to. And I said, I have never been so angry with you in my entire lifetime. Give me
Mhm.
something.
I mean, it's an overarching character arc.
It is. It's
Well,
all
I'm
about
being yelled
Ash.
at by a
It's
5-year-old.
about Ash. It's not about.
But-
It's not about you, Christina. It's about Bruce fucking Campbell
It's about the chin.
and the boomstick.
Chins and boomsticks.
Oh, did y'all watch Willy's Wonderland?
Not
No.
yet.
Oh,
It's
that-
literally on my TBR.
Oh my God, that is on your list for this weekend. It's on Hulu.
Mhm. I know.
It's
I
on
know.
Hulu?
Watch Willy's Wonderland.
Like I
It's
said,
one of my
it's
comfort
the next
movies. I literally will just watch it to fold laundry
one. Mhm.
because it's ridiculous. It's Nick Cage killing murderous animatronics in an abandoned Chuck E. Cheese-ish restaurant, and he doesn't say a single word through the entire
Nope.
movie.
I love it.
It's
Barely a word.
fucking
Mhm.
brilliant.
And then he
All right.
tried to trick me. And he was like,
Mhm.
maybe you should watch Evil Dead 2. And he was like, there's more of a plot. That
There is.
motherfucker lied to me.
Well,
It's also
you're
hard.
I
going.
got halfway through it and I said, you can kiss my ass. I'm not listening to you anymore. Shh.
Lucas.
Go ahead. He's just yapping.
Lucas. Question number
Yes.
2.
No, it's for
Number
me.
2.
What's-
Is there any other literary genre you want to try?
There's quite a few that I'm kind of working on, and there's quite a few that I'm planning on working on. I have several ideas for a sci-fi, like hard sci-fi, dystopian futuresque. I've got
Mm.
Caden is kind of urban fantasy because I've always wanted to do a little bit of fantasy. Caden hopefully should be coming out next year through D&T, part of my Becoming series.
Interesting.
So I would say fantasy and sci-fi, but I do have plans to dive into those at some point. The sci-fi, I'm not ready yet because I'm not well read enough in sci-fi, and sci-fi readers have some of the highest expectations. Period.
That's true. That is
Yeah.
true. They most definitely do.
Yep.
All right, Christina, hit him with number 3.
After I got yelled at by an 8 and a 5-year-old. Jesus Christ. What is your favorite? I really did. What is your favorite story that you have written?
Well, the standard answer is what am I writing now? But
A lot
I
of
mean,
people
if I
say
was
that.
to because it's everything you're working on now has all your undividing love and attention
Mhm.
because that's what's most important. If we focused on our best halves, then there is no tomorrow because we've already done it. At least that's how I look at it.
That's a great perspective.
I mean, because I think the best thing I've written so far would probably be Timmy Less, only because it is the most complicated thing I have ever written. It is filled with a lot of my own personal traumas, stripes, and grievances. And it was a schlock getting it here. That one, so I would definitely say Timmy Less, which also happens to be the first book I ever wrote.
Oh, interesting.
Mhm.
So, if you could co-author with anybody living or dead, who would it be?
So I've thrown my hat out there to a couple people and I'm still waiting for responses. Now, if we're talking sheer fantasy world, Clive Barker, hands down.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine.
I know.
Mhm.
I know.
Oh.
I would have the hardest dick the entire time. I would be typing the entire book with my testicles. Just oh my God. Otherwise, right now I'm trying to get the other Lucases in order.
Mhm.
Lucas Magnum and Lucas Peterson.
Mhm.
We all agreed
Oh.
that when we had time, all three of us are going to work on a book.
That's so awesome.
It's a
The
book about-
triumvirate,
Yes, it's a book
the-
about dragons.
the Trinity of Lucas.
Hmm.
So,
We have the idea. We haven't outlined anything because it really falls on to Lucas Mangum because he's, works full time. He's got his family. He's got his writing projects. So once he settles down, the other Lucas and I, we're gonna definitely work on that. That's
awesome.
That's going to happen. I just don't know when. I've spitballed with a couple other people. I think Bob Ford would be a great person to write with.
Oh, yeah.
If you've ever listened to any of his readings, just because I love the way the guy does such stark realism. I don't do a lot of realism. I do surrealism. So I would love to learn from him how to tone that down.
Yeah.
Because that's, to me, what you do in a collaboration is you should be learning from the other person.
Right.
As much as writing your piece.
Absolutely. Lucas, if people would like to reach out to you, number one, are you comfortable with that? And number two, if so, where would you direct them to do so?
So I'm usually pretty cool. I do have full-time life, so I do apologize if I'm not too quick to respond. Typically, you can get a hold of me on Twitter. I'm very available on Twitter because I'm hardly on it. But whenever I see the messages pop up, I always respond. Bearded Optician on Twitter. My Instagram is my last name, first name, Milliron Lucas. And then Facebook, you can just search Lucas Milliron and then I come up.
Awesome. And if you really want easy access to Lucas, he is part of our Mothers of Mayhem Facebook group. So you can always pop in there and tag him in a post, and I have a feeling he will come a running. That is also really the best place to stay in touch with us as we are now headed into summer hiatus. Here comes season 2, y'all. We're taking a little breaky break.
Thank God.
But also in the Facebook group, you can find the links to our merch store, the ultimate fan community reading soundtrack playlists that are on YouTube and Spotify, exclusive info, content. We have giveaway opportunities run both by us and by many members of our amazing fan family running all the time and so much more. So if you want to stay in close contact with your weird book mommies and the rest of the mom family cult, that is the place to be. You can find links to our various social media accounts in the show bio. But as always, you can always send your questions, comments, or insults to our email address, momextremepodcast@gmail.com. That's m.o.m.extremepodcast@gmail.com. The only person who ever emails us at that email is Mick Collins, and it's pictures of Zach Baggins. God damn it. Nobody else has taken the opportunity to use this yet, other than people who are interested in being on the show. So y'all want to talk to us, you can hit us up there too. Do not forget to send dildos to Christina. Lucas is doing his part. He cannot do
He's
this
doing
on
God's
his own.
work. He is doing God's work.
God's dildos.
He is doing God's dildo work, but he could use the cavalry to come in and help him out. So if you need you need mailing address, contact info for Christina, so you can send those dildos. Yeah.
Because why not send them to a military base?
Yeah, sure. You just get in touch with me or Lucas.
I actually no, but if it doesn't come from Amazon or a package that I know of, it goes straight into my trash.
Oh my God. Shit.
Grab the box and it starts vibrating.
Sarah's is always opening up boxes. I don't need her taking that out.
It'll be a shocking good time.
Yeah,
I know, right?
All
she would do is hit her brother with it.
I have a feeling you're missing out on some big opportunities there, friend. As always.
Right.
I want to say a huge thank you to singer-songwriter Amigo the Devil for allowing us to use his song Hungover in Jonestown as our theme. And this is it.
Thank you guys so much for season 1.
Oh my God.
Awesome.
On behalf of the fans, thank you, ladies, because y'all are fucking awesome.
Thank you.
I mean, this season has been amazingly entertaining, amazingly educational. And I didn't know that I needed to know so much about butts, dicks, and weird sticky things from all
You did not,
different authors.
you know, I didn't know I needed it. And my children are literally looking like children of the corn right now. Like they are fucking hateful looking. Jesus Christ.
I cannot
God.
I cannot think of a better way to end season 1. That was just perfection.
Oh, you guys
That
are
is it.
awesome.
So
Awesome.
until next time, until September, go raise some hell, children.
Make your weird book mommies proud.
We love you. We love you. We love you. We will
Bye,
see
friends.
you. Don't forget us. Bye, y'all.
Life is a joke, and death is the punchline. Oh, life